Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Explain series. Your host, Dr. Bret Palmer. Now I had an interesting conversation with a few fairly religious folk and they told me quite clearly that the point of sex was to reproduce. And outside of that there was not much point of it, which I found quite an interesting viewpoint. This couple I was speaking to obviously had many children, and I found this quite an interesting viewpoint, and it's obviously the more common viewpoint, especially in religious communities. So what actually is the point of sex? Well, obviously reproduction, that is a point, but very few people have sex purely to reproduce. When people meet up, there could be a whole host of reasons why they have sex. One, it's just a form of showing your affection towards another human being. Another is it's actually very good for cementing social relationships. And so the vast majority of the time when a couple get together and they are having sex, it is not purely to reproduce. If it was purely to reproduce, then why would people have sex when they get older and the age of reproduction for most people has passed, especially females over the age of 50. But they still have sex because it is enjoyable and it is very good for any social organism, not just humans, to have sex. It's a bonding. It helps cement relationships together. Also, there are many couples out there who may be gay. They're not going to reproduce, but it is about cementing the relationship. The another reason, because in biology, very rarely does one biological function mean only one outcome. And sex, there are multiple outcomes. So it is one, to obviously alleviate horniness, two, to cement relationships. Another point would actually be the transference of good bacteria and viruses. If you extracted all of our DNA, 99% or 98% of our DNA contained in our bodies actually doesn't belong to us. It belongs to bacteria, viruses and other organisms inside our body. Only 2% of all the DNA in our bodies is actually our DNA, because we need these bacteria, viruses and other organisms in order to operate. If we stripped out all the bacteria in our guts, we wouldn't live for very long. We probably would have a great difficulty actually in digesting our food, for example. And sex allows us to swap good bacteria from one person to another. Now, because sex obviously feels good, that's another reason why we do it, and biology wants us to have sex, and so there's an element of free will and free choice when it comes to sex, but just as much as your body doesn't decide, your body decides when you breathe, you don't have to consciously remind yourself, oh, I need to breathe now. So you don't have to do that. Your body decides to do it. In much the same way your body decides when you're hungry, and it will pick what it wants to eat. So if you don't eat for a very long period of time and you pass a crappy fast food restaurant, you might want to dip in there because you feel compelled to eat some crappy burger. But your body is deciding to do that on impulse, and much the same way your body also decides that if you haven't had sex for quite a long while, to actually have sex as well on impulse. It will close off the rational side of the brain and make you possibly do things with in hindsight you probably wouldn't want to do. And this is why people, when they're out on a stag night, suddenly sleep with a commercial sex worker or a bar pickup or whoever. And that goes for both sexes. The rational part of the brain gets closed off and the body just kicks in and it does what it wants to do. Either way, the more we have sex and we have the opportunity to have sex, obviously that increases the chances of conception. And that is the final cause of why we actually have sex. So vast majority of mammals don't have sex for reproduction purposes. They have it because it is good, it feels good, it's good for the body, it's good exercise, and it's great for cementing social bonds and relationships. And as a byproduct, babies come along as well. And that is the point of sex. I'm sure there's going to be lots of comments. Post them down below. I may answer, I may not. Depends on the nature of the comments. Take care. Have good sexual health. Bye-bye.